Welcome to the Middle Room workshop. Today I'm going to show you how to resume or recover a project after a power outage or any other kind of failure in LightBurn. Without further ado, let's get into it. Before getting into the how, into the actual process, I just want to emphasize that at the time of recording this video, there is no proper method for recovering a failed project. And so what I'm about to show you is basically a trick that works and can help you recover at least some of your projects. Now, let's try to highlight the problem. You're running a project and suddenly you get either a power outage or a disconnection, or simply the machine stops for a random reason that goes beyond the scope of this video. Now, the sudden stop is uncontrolled. So that means that the axes are not slowed down and stopped in a controlled manner, but de-energized at once. And so this causes the machine to lose velocity and eventually stop somewhere without the ability to keep track of its position. And this is actually the difference with pausing. So when you click on the pause button to pause the execution of a project, the controller is sending the signal to the stepper motor to slow down in a very controlled manner until it stops. And so by doing so, despite these small machines, they don't have a feedback, the controller is able to remember the position. And so thanks to that, then you are also able to resume. Now, currently, laser engravers do not offer a way to resume a project the way 3D printers are doing. And at the same time, LightBurn does not offer the functionality neither. And so hopefully the newer machines will come out with some way to resume projects, and LightBurn will also align to that. Despite LightBurn is not offering the recovery option just yet, we can take advantage of the preview window, something that in my view is very powerful. And so using the preview window, we can basically try to reposition the machine and restart where the job or the project stopped. Now, the procedure changes a little bit depending on what type of machine you have. In particular, if your machine has a home, that is micro switches representing the origin of the coordinate system, and if it doesn't. Now, let's start with a machine having a home. So that is micro switches that allow the machine to return to a fixed known position. Now, when working with this type of machine, I normally recommend, and it's very important, to work in absolute coordinate system, and before to start a project, to always start from home. So that is, once you have your project, so you select your project and you frame, okay, this will show where the project is supposed to come out. Before to actually click onto the start button, it is highly recommended to home back, okay? And so to click the start button from home. This is because while the machine works between cycles, it loses over time accuracy. So starting from the home position will make sure that the precision, the accuracy is the highest possible at the moment. And so putting this out of the way, so now let's start with something pretty simple and straightforward. These are a bunch of shapes. They are individual shapes. Okay, and by the way, in order to work out only what you have selected, make sure that you have cut selected graphics toggled on. And so let's go for it. I've already homed the machine, I have already framed the machine, and let's click on start. All right, so now I'm going to simulate a power outage. There we go. So I've basically disconnected the cable, which you can see over here, and now I'm going to reconnect it. Now this will auto home because obviously I didn't have a real power outage, so my PC is currently working. Now you get a feedback in this case that there was a USB connection dropped. Now there is some hint here on what you can do, but not exactly to recover, so I'll simply click on no. Now what you could do in this instance, first thing first, once you reconnect everything, make sure that you home the machine. In our case it was already home. And now have a look on the condition of your project, the status. So where did it reach? Now I know that this was the object being cut or worked out at the moment of the failure. So what I can do very simply, I can select the remaining ones and click on start and let it finish to work. So by doing so, there will be only this small percentage of project that will be actually failed. All right, so as you can see, we have our project that is in large percentage recovered. However, we can actually recover this entire project, but I'm going to show you the procedure with a more complex project. So this is a project with both engraving, fill engraves, and cutting. And so once we framed it, let's once again not forget to home the machine. Let's always have our origin. And now we can click on start. All right, let's randomly stop. There we go. Now before reconnecting everything, let's try to see where it is. Just like this. Let's try to identify where it is. And now let's plug back in. If your computer didn't shut down, this will automatically reconnect and home the machine for you. And now we need to check exactly where we are in the project. So let's take a closer look. You can see here, with home. So we were just engraving the M of home. So back to LightBurn, as you can see, we get the message. Just click on no. Let's select our project and let's preview it once again. So we said that we are approximately to the M of home. So we have to now understand where exactly are we. In my opinion, we are somewhere here. So I think I can give it a try. And so click on start job on laser from here. Now, as usual, let's not wait for the entire project to finish. Let's let it run for a while and let's have a look if the things are good. If they look fine, we can leave it to run because the project is actually okay. So I can see that there is a tiny defect, but it's not much visible. So I will leave it to work. All right, so let's now randomly disconnect. And let's reconnect. So let me give you a closer look. So this is where we are. You can see over here. So we will now try to reposition ourselves there. Try always to get some reference point so that you can understand in the computer where you are. So back to LightBurn, click on no. Now again, the machine has already homed, otherwise you would have homed it yourself. Now click your project, preview, use the slider to locate where you were. Now it seems like we were here, okay? So like we were at this point in this location. Now since it's a cutting, you can retrace a little bit more. That will not be visible. So I'm thinking to start somewhere here, maybe like this. let's use the scroll wheel in the mouse so we can fine tune it. Okay, and so once you're happy with it, start job from here. All right, let's see now what happened. So far, I don't see any defects. And we can try to also break it. You can see over here that this project has failed twice, and we are almost unable to recognize the failure points. At least for the cutting, I don't see anything. For the small M of home, there is a slight imperfection. I don't know if the camera can actually render that. But overall, I don't think it's going to be something noticeable. All right, so now we are going to try to recover the hardest type of project, and there is an image. Now, the reason why it is hard is because it is hard to actually pinpoint where exactly the machine stopped. And so this is highly dependent on the type of image, the amount of details, and the resolution. But we are still going to give it a try so that you can see how I would work around that. Now, important here is that you will need to set your image layer. When you double click on it, you will need to set it to fill shapes individually. This is going to allow you to use start job from here, from the preview window. Okay, so let's give it OK. Now, don't forget again to home the machine before everything. Once you're ready, select it and click on play or start. All right, so now I'm going to stop it at a random location. Again, here is the cable. And let's reconnect. Here it is very important to have a look to the project and to try to pinpoint the exact location where the machine might have stopped. Okay, so let's go to have a closer look. All right, so this is the current status. That's where we arrived. So I can see a little bit of the fur on the nose here, and I think I can see like the part of the nose and the small detail over there. But we'll need to try to figure out like small details that we can use ourselves to position the cursor on the screen. All right, so back to LightBurn. Let's select the project, let's preview it, and let's use the cursor over here. Now, I see a little bit of this fur or hair, not sure how to call that, and some detail over here, over to this location. I will try to be as precise as possible. Now, bear in mind that here you might end up with three situations. You're lucky and you pinpoint the exact point, so you will not have a noticeable difference. Second is that you will have skipped lines, so that means that you picked up the wrong line, so you skipped some. And third is that you will have a burned line, so that means that you are going to trace back a line that was already engraved before the machine halted or stopped. Okay, so this is unfortunately the problem with the images, but still, let's try to see where we can, maybe somewhere here. Let's see what happened. So start job from here. Now again, let's try to have a look on what is going on. Let's leave it to work for some time and try to figure out whether the project is being executed correctly without visible abnormalities. If it does, we'll leave it to work and that means we save the project. If it doesn't, unfortunately, there is not much that we can do. Right, so from what I can see here, all seems good. Now we are going to have a closer look. I don't see any noticeable defect, which means that we've been very lucky. I will show you the previous one that I was trying for this video tutorial, and as you can see, I skipped one of the lines. I could have also tried to recover that, but unfortunately when the laser head back up, hit onto one of the clamps, which shifted the sheet, and so the entire project was ruined up, because realigning it's a nightmare. But here, as you can see, we got very lucky and the project is clean. I mean, I don't see any defects there. All right, how about recovering a project with a homeless machine? That is a machine without micro switches, which means a machine that doesn't have a fixed reference point. Now, rather than showing you how hard it is to actually recover a project in that kind of situation, I'm rather going to give you and show you some recommendation on how to work with a homeless machine, so that then you can apply the methods that I showed you earlier for a homed machine. Now, the first method is to try and let your machine work like if you had the home. And so it is true that you don't have micro switches, but it is also true that you have a physical frame that represent the boundary and therefore the physical limitation of your axis, which can actually be used as a reference point. So what you can do is you work in user origin, okay, as your coordinate system. And when you start your machine, you can either move or jog your machine to a corner, okay, let's say for example the bottom left corner, so that you have this physical contact representing your machine 0 position. So you could either go to the move tab and to jog this down, okay, until you actually hit the frame, or you could manually move it, okay. So you can basically go down, and as you can see, I've touched already, and there we go. There we go. All right, so now I'm on the corner and I can come over here and click on set origin. All right, so now we can use our user origin, so we can randomly jog somewhere, and then rather than clicking home, which it's not enabled anyway, we can click on go to origin. Once you do that, before you either start your project or anyway, once you start your machine, it is going to act like if you had a homed machine. However, if you want to work in a current position, that is, you want to move the laser by hand, then what I can suggest you to do is to basically create these corners, which are basically the corners outlining the bounding box of your project. So when you select a project, okay, I can select now only the outer part, you will have a bounding box, which is represented by the minimum and the maximum in both directions. And so that is what the machine is going to trace out when you click on the framing button. So what you can do, you can manually create this simple axis, okay, just to draw them. And then, now you can put them in an independent layer. That's what I suggest you to do. Then you come over to the layer and you move the layer to the top. So that is going to be the first, because you want to make sure that when it fails, anytime it fails, you will already have your locations here. So what happened here now, if we highlight it all and we go to the preview, you will see that these are the first item, the first part that are going to be engraved. So now, if somewhere, anywhere around, this is going to stop for some reason, it's going to fail, you can basically jog or move the laser so that it points to the, for example, bottom left corner, okay? And so to do that, you can use the fire button here, okay? You can position yourself by jogging to one of the corners, and then you can try on frame it. You can eventually reduce the speed, the framing speed, which is over here, okay? And to try to see if you are exactly where you are supposed to be. And you can use the trick that I showed you earlier, and so that is, you are going to select everything again, you are coming over here, you are going to see where the machine stopped. So once you're ready, for example, if it stopped over here, then you start and then start from here, and you should again get similar result like we did for a homed machine. All right, so this is the way you go about it. It is not the perfect solution, but it does the job, and I've been recovering many projects. I've been also recovering projects that they happen to shift, so they moved around. But you know, when you end up in that situation, you have to understand whether it is worth the time you're going to spend in order to actually realign and to do all the process. Now, what I've been showing you in this video with LightBurn can be done similarly in LaserGRBL. However, LaserGRBL is a more basic software. It doesn't offer the preview window, so it is going to be harder to actually do the same things. It's not impossible, but definitely harder. If you are working on a CO2 laser with a RIDA controller, bear in mind that you already have a built-in feature that if you have a power outage, you just need to go to the controller itself and it will basically prompt you to restart from where it ended up. And so this is all about it. Now, I hope you found this video helpful, informative. If you liked it, click the thumb up button below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one. Ciao for now!